remember, I just gave the Mahomes and Trubisky scenario, but Chicago also could have gotten Stroud or Young this year. They had the number 1 pick and traded it. So are they really going to do that 2 years in a row? I think Justin is extremely talented. I think we can all agree that he needs a new coach. He needs more talent around him. But are you really going to go another year foregoing 2 generational prospects, hoping that he turns out to be the guy? I don't think Chicago does that.
What do you think they can get for him?
It's a good question. I think they could get quite a bit. I mean, how many teams in the league feel like they're a quarterback away, right? So
Not them. They don't think that about him, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're worried about.
Yeah.
There's always a team, and there's
like
always
Atlanta,
a coach.
Commanders?
Like Atlanta. Could you imagine?
Washington won't. They're sticking with Sam Howell.
Could you imagine that
They
run
won't do
game
it.
with Fields and Bijan and
Yeah.
Algier and their
Yeah.
running concepts? Like, I think that'd be a really good one. I mean, there are a couple different teams out there. Like, I think the Commanders would be an interesting team if they decide to move on from Howell.
They won't, though. I'm just telling you now.
Why
Don't even
not?
put him in. They love Sam Howell.
And get it done with the arm indication. We've seen him throw for multiple touchdowns in a single game a couple of times already this season. He had a 4 TD effort just a few weeks ago. But, deep down, he's a guy that wants to just spring loose when the opportunity presents itself. And he really chews up real estate in that regard. He's so explosive, reading, reacting, and taking off on the ground that why try to change it? If it ain't broke, why try to fix it? I think he is the quarterback of the present for this franchise, obviously, and of the future. Again, there were some rumblings that, hey, maybe the Bears going to look at Caleb Williams if they land the number 1 overall pick, whether from their own disregards or whether now it's from the Carolina Panthers. I think that's out of the equation now. I think Justin Fields is here to stay as the starter, but let Justin be Justin. Let the guy run. He's magnificent in that capacity. Jalen Hurts is a front runner right now for the MVP conversation with what I feel is largely lackluster numbers, but it's a quarterback popularity award, so be it. But the real MVP in this game is going to show that he is that, and that is Christian McCaffrey. I think he's going to be unstoppable, a multi-TD game, and was going to put his name on the MVP map. Though voters will say, oh, you don't play quarterback. Sorry. Smooth. Yeah, man. He was spectacular. He was dynamite. He was scintillating yesterday, just getting force-fed, and he was wide open repeatedly across the middle of the field. The opposition was just allergic to defending that portion of the field. So as a result, Kenny Pickett recognized, and actually threw balls beyond 10 yards, which was an encouraging sign, right? Before the game, we had heard that Jalen Warren was going to get more touches, in which he did. It was still spectacular in doses. Najee Harris led this team in rushing. He was dynamite in his own form and fashion. But also we heard that George Pickens was going to be fed a little bit more. That wasn't the case. 3 catches, nearly 60 yards, but it was Freiermuth across the middle of the field, taking advantage of what the defense gave him. Now, here's the good news. I will say this. Freiermuth is going to be a top 10 lock this week in my fantasy football rankings ahead of week 13 because you get the Desert Birds. There are the Arizona Cardinals, who are a laughingstock right now defensively.
I had Amon-Ra St. Brown 100-plus receiving yards. Of course, you don't know he finished with 95. Problem is that was during Thanksgiving. I'm with family watching the games. My little 3-year-old niece is sitting here late in the game jumping on me with her little magic fairy wand trying to turn me into different animals, and I'm trying to be nice and play. I'm moving her head to the side, and I'm going, hold on, I need Amon-Ra St. Brown to get 100 yards receiving. Sure, I'll be a Tiger. Roar, okay. Hold on, come on. Oh, damn it, he's not getting a reception. Come on, throw the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And she's sitting there looking at me like a crazy person. I've had a lot of sweats in my life. I've never had to sweat with a 3-year-old trying to turn me into different animals with her her fairy wand. You know what? It wasn't fun, Trista, because he finished with 95. And those damn lines of that terrible offense let me down. Would it
have killed them?
Yeah,
Give them the
5
ball
more
one
yards.
time?
5 more yards. That's all I needed. All I needed.
I had that as well.
I needed her to use her magic wand and say, here's 100 yards for Amon-Ra St. Brown. That would have been a lot more productive than me turning into a tiger.
Yeah. I don't.
Oh, no.
By the way,
I
that
immediately
Jake
regret
Elliott,
this decision.
That Jake Elliott field goal.
One of the best kicks I've ever seen.
Might be the best field goal I've ever seen in my lifetime. And a lot of people were bringing out the Vinatieri kick, but people forget There was a snow plow that they brought on the field,
To
real
clear it,
shady to clear
yeah.
out. They were not supposed to do that.
Right.
And like wind and rain, way more difficult.
And the
than
way he
just
kicked
snow.
it too, like to get it
He
to go
it was like a
59
golf shot.
yards in the little like a stinger, right?
Yes, it was like a stinger
yep.
fade.
Just ridiculous kick.
Kyle Long, by the way, liked my tweet about it,
Nice.
which I thought was like kind of
Yeah,
That was
great. That was a great kick.
great kick.
that was the best game of the weekend.
It was.
It really was. All right, so we're scoreless. 5:52 to go. So we got a fast first quarter with the Bears just eating a ton of
Just
time.
continue. Tick, tick, tick,
Justin
tick, tick.
Fields on that drive, 8 of 8 for 37 yards, and another 4-yard rush on top of that. DJ Moore's 2 catches for 9. It was not 17 sacks, Scott. It was only 1. You stop it. But
It just looked like they had a
Yeah,
possibility.
that-
You know how like potential assists?
the potential
the potential
sacks
were
there was
very high.
it was just about every single play for Justin Fields running for his life.
That drive would have made Kirk Ferentz and Iowa football proud, right?
Yes.
Like 14. I think the AFC is so fascinating. NFC, save your money and don't
Yeah.
bet a long shot to make the Super Bowl. It's going to be one of the big 3 teams: Eagles, Niners, or Cowboys.
Oh, stop it! It's not going to be the Cowboys.
AFC
Big
probably
two. Big
probably
two.
won't be.
Big 2. Don't fall for that trap.
They could. They probably won't, but they could. Whereas, like, none of the other teams have a fighter's chance. The AFC, though, I think it could be worth taking a flyer on one of 3 teams. I think 2 of these, Texans, Broncos, and then I think the Bills are the other, if they can make it. Just because, again, Josh Allen proved yesterday
Rashawn
like,
Johnson.
how great he is. But, man, like, guys, C.J. Stroud is unreal. He is
Last midfield, the Vikings have one time the entire first half.
Every time we sit here, every time, I feel I am reliving the same moment over again, which
You
is,
know what? It's kind of true
You know
on
what I
Monday night.
and I sit here and I'm like so excited about props, and none of them are even gonna hit it even close to. Everyone online, every person that talks about betting has got all these over locks. And I was a little suspect when everyone liked a lot of the same things that I well, not
Yep.
everyone, but like 80% of the people that I looked at.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
did, I do my own stuff, and then I look and see, right? And I'm like, ooh, there's a lot of people who like DJ Moore. There's a lot of people who like Justin Fields rushing yards. There's a lot of people who like TJ Hawkinson. Maybe I should at least have a hedge parlay that goes the other direction, because it feels like every single Monday we sit here. Everybody's got these overs that they love, even if the total's like 40 and a half, and we just are in this little press conference table in misery.
The thing that worries me are there are 3 things that a team needs if you want to beat Georgia. And I look at what Bama's team had 2 years ago and what Ohio State's team had last year, who should have beaten Georgia. And I worry that Bama doesn't have one of the 3 things. They have 2 of them. You need elite quarterback play. Jalen Milroe is elite, folks. What he has progressed into is incredible. What he looked like against Texas early in the season and what he looks like now, it's
They benched him.
It's night and day.
Yeah.
He is fantastic. That's the first thing, elite quarterback play. Second thing, you need elite offensive line play. If you cannot block Georgia up front, you have no chance of beating them. The third, and I think the most important thing, and the reason why teams can't beat them, because they go up against elite quarterbacks, they play teams with good offensive lines, but the thing that most teams don't have is you need 2 elite wide receivers. Ohio State, why they were beating them in that game is because they had Marvin Harrison and they had Abukum. That's why when Marvin Harrison got hurt, Georgia came back and won that game. That's why when Bama had Mechie and Jameson Williams in the SEC championship game, they beat them. And when they didn't have them in the Natty, they lost. I worry about that with Bama. They don't have 2 elite wide receivers. I think Jermaine Burton is one. Maybe Isaiah Bond, the guy who caught the touchdown in the Iron
Yes.
Bowl, maybe he'll emerge. They have Kendrick Law. They have a lot of talented guys, but they don't have those 2 elite wide receivers. Georgia's defense isn't as elite as it's been in years past, but I just don't know if Bama has the weapons on the outside to exploit it. So the number is telling me to bet Bama. The spot is telling me to bet Bama, but I worry about them not having those 2 receivers. I will say this, too. Why I'm so freaking excited for this game is it's a playoff game for both teams. In years past, you've come into the SEC title game, and either like Georgia's known that even if they lose, they're still going to get in. Bama knows even if they lose, they're still. Both of these teams know the loser's out. If you lose this game, this is a playoff game. Winner likely goes. The loser is going home. So I can't wait. It's Bama or pass for me at the 5.5. I take them on the money line. How